boxes. The unspoken hero of every Flood Escape 2 map. But admit it, have you ever found yourself thinking in the middle of a flood, which map has the most boxes? No? Well, buckle up, because this video will be exploring which map has the most boxes. Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna do the cool video intro thing. I've done that before, and half of you stopped watching! That wasn't funny, guys! Don't do it again! Hello, internet! Welcome to Flood Facts! Because we're solving the mysteries that you didn't ask about, like my episode on the dark side virus, where we talked about the fact a virus is part of Flood Escape's lore, or that other theory about the guide committing murder. Those ones are good ones to catch up on with your hot cocoa during the holidays, so strap in for a particularly boxy one today, because I'm starting on what's turning out to be one of the toughest questions I've had to calculate. I'm dissecting every major Flood Escape 2 map. That means every Flood Escape map that's been in the game since 2017 to determine once and for all which one of the Flood Escape 2 maps has the most boxes. And if I can swing it, what is the overall total box count for the entirety of Flood Escape 2? And whoo boy, it's much harder than it looks. In case you haven't noticed over the years, Flood Escape 2 maps, for all their detail, have a surprising amount of boxes. And a lot of the boxes are pretty well hidden. I mean, just look at Sunken Citadel's hidden room. It has a box. Zemblanity has hidden boxes everywhere. Some of this stuff is better hidden than the lore in the game. But just how many boxes am I talking about? Well, it's way more than you think. Especially considering that this lineup is all maps in the game. But looking across all of FE2's history, across its 50 plus maps that have been released over the years, I'm aiming to find out which one of the FE2 maps has the most boxes. If you think this is just a matter of a little counting here and there, you're solely mistaken. There's so much more here than meets the eye, as evidenced by the fact I thought this was just gonna be a small, straightforward video, and now has blown up into taking so much more time than I imagined. I'm telling you now, by the end of this little video, you're gonna be struggling to crawl out from under the heap of boxes piled up on top of you. So, what Flood Escape map has the most boxes? Place your bets now and see if you're right at the end. I don't know, you can make like a little bet about it with your family or whoever you want to talk about this with. Hey mom and dad, which FE2 map do you think has the most boxes? Bet you $5 it's Forsaken Era. Don't do that. That would be a stupid bet. Spoiler alert, it's not Forsaken Era. Like I said, approaching the concept of the most boxes in a Flood Escape map is deceptively complicated. Take, for instance, this crate, and this crate. They're all cuboids across 3 different maps. But would you count them all? One is a simple crate from Infiltration, one is a box from Sinking Ship, and another one is a container from Construction Thrill. They're all cuboids. They're all box-shaped, but for the purposes of this video, they don't all count. And this is where we have to lay ourselves some ground rules. Should we count the shipping container, which is a cuboid and isn't actually part of gameplay? What about the ones in Decaying Silo? For this video, I drew the line around what counts as a box versus what doesn't. So let's just set this rule. If boxes have the appearance of crates, have an outline, and are used for gameplay and background, then they count in our overall box total. So the ones in Decaying Silo count, but the ones in Construction Thrill don't. We also can't extrapolate beyond the maps in the game. Fall Equinox has an official sequel called Forest Field. Does it have boxes? Yeah, absolutely, but it doesn't appear in the game and isn't canon. Also, guys, no highlights. There's nothing less satisfying than coming out at the end of one of these really long analyses only to find out that Blooming Lagoon actually has the most boxes. So that takes Desert Ruins, Desolate Domain, and all the other highlights off the table. Yeah, just take my word for it, guys. We're dodging a huge bullet by sticking to the core FE2 maps. We're already covering 50 maps, but maybe if you like this concept, we can do another tournament of highlights or community maps or whatever, just later. I need a break from counting boxes after this one. So with our handy dandy rulebook established, we're ready to face the boxes head on. Our first task is to carve up our contenders into more manageable categories to see which one has a fighting chance of claiming the ultimate title, map with most boxes. If you look across the spectrum from 2017 to today, you'll find that these maps fall into pretty distinct categories. You have no box maps, single digits and teen count, 20s to 50s, and then you have the real heavy hitters. Starting at the very beginning, there's a whole slew of maps where the box count is 0. Maps like Axiom, Northern Mill, Crystal Caverns, Fallen Classic, and Sandswept Ruins are all no box maps. Kinda crazy how a crazy map can have 0 boxes, right? In the single digits, Lava Tower starts the show with a mere 2 boxes, while Darkside Forest follows with 5, and Lost Desert sneaks in with 9 boxes. These earlier maps I only had to play 2 to 3 times just to ensure that I had an accurate count, but it gets so much worse from here. Moving on to the teens, we've got Forsaken Era and Sky Sanctuary, both with 10 boxes. Next we have Forgotten Tombs with also 10 boxes. But remember the secret area from the 2018 Labyrinth event. So adding that in, it's actually 13. Mar Dreams, Poison's Valley, and Fallen join the club with 13 boxes. Decrepit Seas, Flood Island, and Abandoned Facility rocking 14 boxes, and Lost Woods wrapping it up with a neat 19 boxes. Tallying up the FE2 maps with single digits to teen box toll gives us 149, which leaves us with 32 maps left to cover. But this is where things start to get a little more difficult. It seems like it should just be an easy task to go through and count boxes, but in a number of these cases, the analysis starts to get pretty complex. Remember that I'm not only counting boxes, I'm also having to escape the flood. And if I die without finishing the count, not only does that invalidate the run, but it also means I have to wait to even be able to play that map again. Remember that in most difficulties, you can't play a map twice in a row, which means I have to wait for the map to even show up in the roster again. So this next category took much longer to calculate. The 20s are here. Darkside Facility is here with 20 boxes, while Graveyard Cliffside follows with 21. Castle Tides, Retro Coast, Flood Equinox, and Sedimentary Temple all tied with 22 boxes. Snowy Peaks at 23 boxes, and Beneath the Ruins at 24. Wild Savannah and our first crazy map, Ignis Peaks, Cozy, at 25 boxes. Toxic Woods and Construction Thrill tied at 26. But remember, those shipping containers don't affect our overall count. And Familiar Ruins at 27 and Buried Oasis making it a solid 28 boxes. Tallying up all the maps so far leaves us with 482 total boxes. Rolling into the 30s, Sunken Citadel hitting 31 boxes. But remember, we gotta throw in one more for the lore secret, making the total 32. Cave System coming in with 33 boxes, Infiltration and Oriental Grove having a tie at 37. Poisonous Forest wrapping up the 30s with 38 boxes. Now in the 40s, Satomi Springs stepping in with 40 boxes. Another tough one because the flood moves so quickly in this one. Remember that 4.7 star rating, and the boxes are hidden everywhere. Gloomy Manor, Zemblanity, and Blue Moon all tied at 41 boxes. Snowy Stronghold coming in with 48 boxes, and this one was so difficult. I actually had to get the creator smokeythefox to verify my count, and finally, Decaying Silo punching in at 49 boxes. Climbing into the 50s, we only have 2 maps. Mysterium with 50 boxes, and then Active Volcanic Mines, shocking us all with a whopping 55 boxes. These two were really difficult to calculate. Active Volcanic Mines for the obvious reason of it being the hardest map in the game, which meant I had to play it many times to get the final count. Adding on to that, because the different areas of the mine are so large, I had to make sure every box in the background and on the floor was accounted for. Tallying all this up, our total count leaves us with a whopping 1,024 boxes. Now, the final 5 maps, the heavyweight champions. In 5th place, Magmatic Mines with 61 boxes. Poisonous Chasm claiming 4th with 62 boxes. Sinking Ship cruising in 3rd place with 65 boxes. The runner-up, Relic Valley, making jaws drop with 81 boxes. And drumroll please, the ultimate box extravaganza. The heavyweight champion, with an astonishing 128 boxes, is none other than Northern Workshop. Who knew that a holiday map of all things would take 1st place? I really thought number 1 was going to be a crazy map like Active Volcanic Mines or Poisonous Chasm, but with its huge amount of presence, verified by the man himself, Disney 12, Northern Workshop takes 1st place with most boxes out of any Flood Escape 2 map. So after 50 maps and an extremely long process, what does all this mean? We've come a long way from where we started, and I wanted to highlight what we've discovered by recapping some of our most significant findings. Across the entirety of Flood Escape 2, 50 maps, our total box count is 1,421. We can also calculate our overall average or mean of boxes per Flood Escape 2 map. Adding up all the boxes and dividing it by the amount of maps we have gave us a total of 28 boxes per map. Zemblanity has the most boxes for an easy map with 41 boxes. Northern Workshop has the most for normal maps with 128 boxes. Kind of funny how Northern Workshop has the most boxes, but its counterpart, Northern Mill, has no boxes. Relic Valley has the most boxes for any hard map with 81 boxes. Sinking Sinking Ship has the most boxes for an insane map with 65 boxes. And lastly, Poisonous Chasm has the most boxes out of any crazy map with 62 boxes. And now finally, with this video coming to a close, you can now go and we can efficiently start the good old box count back at 0 for 2024. This was a blast, and let me know if you want me to do something similar for the highlights, liquid breakout. I don't know, I'm up for anything. And thank you for your continued support on the channel. I've got some exciting things cooking up that I hope to share with you soon.